Ladies and gentlemen, before we talk about achievement, before we talk about discipline, before we talk about success, we must confront something far more fundamental. Why do some people keep going when everything in them wants to stop? Why does one person rise before dawn to train while another hits snooze? Why does one entrepreneur rebuild after bankruptcy while another never tries again? Why does one student push through frustration while another quietly gives up? The answer is not luck. It is not privilege alone. It is not even talent. The answer lies in something far less glamorous and far more powerful: effort. In America, we are surrounded by narratives of greatness. We admire the self-made millionaire. We celebrate championship moments. We stream documentaries about icons. We post highlight reels of success. But we rarely sit with the invisible years that built those moments. We see the trophy. We do not see the 5 a.m. practices. We see the company valuation. We do not see the sleepless nights. We see the speech. We do not see the doubt. And yet, this nation, from its founding struggles to its technological revolutions, has always been shaped by sustained, courageous effort. The pioneers crossing unknown territory, the activists demanding justice, the scientists chasing impossible ideas, the families building stability from nothing. Effort is not just personal. It is cultural. It is historical. It is psychological. But here's what makes this conversation urgent today. We are living in an era of acceleration. Information is instant. Entertainment is instant. Delivery is instant. Validation is instant. And when everything around us moves at the speed of a click, long-term effort can feel unnatural, even unbearable. The modern brain is overstimulated yet undertrained in endurance. We are more connected than ever, yet often less resilient. More ambitious, yet more easily discouraged. More informed, yet quicker to abandon. So tonight is not about glorifying exhaustion. It is not about toxic productivity. It is not about grinding yourself into burnout. It is about understanding the psychology behind effort. Because effort is not merely physical strain. It is interpretation. It is identity. It is belief. It is how you respond when progress is slow, when recognition is absent, when doubt is loud. Effort is what separates intention from transformation. And when you understand how effort works, neurologically, emotionally, psychologically, you gain something extraordinary. You gain control over your response to difficulty. You stop being a victim of discomfort. You begin to see struggle not as a stop sign, but as evidence that you are expanding. Tonight, we are going to explore effort not as a cliche, but as a cognitive mechanism. Not as a motivational slogan, but as a trainable mental skill. Because when you change how you interpret effort, you change how long you can endure. And when you change how long you can endure, you change what is possible. Let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a culture that celebrates results. We celebrate the promotion. We celebrate the championship ring. We celebrate the viral success story. We celebrate the overnight millionaire. But rarely, almost never, do we celebrate the effort. And yet, effort is the invisible architecture behind every meaningful achievement in human history. Effort built the railroads that connected this country from coast to coast. Effort carried families through the Great Depression. Effort marched across the bridge in Selma. Effort put a human being on the moon. Long before success shows up in headlines, effort is working in silence. Tonight, I want to talk to you about something deeper than motivation. Something stronger than talent, something more reliable than luck. I want to talk to you about the psychology of effort. Because effort is not just physical exertion. It is not just grinding. It is not just working hard. Effort is a mental decision, a neurological process, a belief system, a relationship you build with discomfort. And in America today, a nation built on ambition, understanding effort may be the most important psychological skill of our time. Tonight, we will explore why effort feels painful, why talent is overrated, how the brain responds to struggle, why some people quit and others don't, how identity shapes perseverance, and how you can rewire your relationship with effort forever. Because when you change how you see effort, you change how far you can go. Part 1. Why effort feels so hard. Let's begin with a simple truth. Effort feels uncomfortable because your brain is designed to conserve energy. From an evolutionary standpoint, your brain's primary job is survival, not achievement. Your ancestors did not need peak productivity. They needed enough energy to escape predators and find food. So your brain evolved with a bias toward efficiency. When you push yourself, physically or mentally, your brain interprets it as a potential threat. It increases perceived fatigue. It amplifies doubt. It whispers, "This is too much. Slow down. Quit." But here's the psychological twist. Effort is not just a physical experience. It is a perception. Research in cognitive psychology shows that when people believe effort is meaningful, they tolerate more of it. When effort has purpose, pain decreases. That's why a parent can work 2 jobs without complaining, but resent overtime at a job they hate. Effort without meaning feels exhausting. Effort with meaning feels powerful. The difference isn't the workload. It's the story. Part 2. Talent is a beautiful lie. In American culture, we are fascinated by talent. We love prodigies. We love natural-born athletes. We love child geniuses. But talent is often a seductive myth. Consider Michael Jordan, cut from his high school varsity basketball team, or Oprah Winfrey, told she was unfit for television, or Thomas Edison, whose teacher said he was too slow to learn. What separated them? Not effortless brilliance. Sustained effort. Psychologist Angela Duckworth calls it grit, passion and perseverance over the long term. But grit is not about stubbornness. It's about identity. When effort becomes part of who you are, quitting feels unnatural. And here's what research tells us. Believing that ability can grow, what psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset, increases resilience, performance, and persistence. If you believe effort changes your brain, you invest in it. If you believe talent is fixed, effort feels pointless. Effort is not just about doing more. It's about believing more is possible. Hashtag Part 3, the brain on effort. Let's get neurological. When you engage in sustained effort, your brain activates the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for planning, discipline, and decision-making. At the same time, your limbic system, the emotional center, signals discomfort. This creates internal conflict. The psychology of effort lives in that conflict. The people who succeed are not the ones who don't feel discomfort. They are the ones who interpret discomfort differently. Neuroscience shows that when you persist through difficulty, dopamine is released, not just at success, but during progress. Effort, when linked to advancement, becomes rewarding. This is why small wins matter. This is why checking a box feels satisfying. You are literally training your brain to associate effort with pleasure. Effort is a muscle. The more you use it, the less it scares you. Share Part 4, why we quit. If effort builds greatness, why do so many people quit? Because effort threatens ego. When you try and fail, your identity feels attacked. If I fail, maybe I'm not smart. If I fail, maybe I'm not capable. So quitting protects the self-image. Psychologists call this self-handicapping. We avoid effort so we can blame lack of trying instead of lack of ability. But here's the irony. Avoiding effort to protect your ego guarantees mediocrity. Embracing effort risks failure, but creates growth. In American culture, we fear failure. But look at Steve Jobs, fired from his own company before returning to build one of the most valuable corporations in history. Failure did not define him. His relationship with effort did. Part 5, effort and identity. The most powerful shift you can make is this. Stop asking, what do I want to achieve? Start asking, who do I want to become? Goals are temporary. Identity is permanent. When you say, I'm trying to write a book, effort feels optional. When you say, I am a writer, effort becomes inevitable. Effort flows from identity. This is why the most disciplined people don't rely on motivation. They rely on self-definition. They don't wake up inspired every day. They wake up committed. That part's the American paradox. America is built on ambition. From the pioneers to Silicon Valley founders, the national myth celebrates self-made success. But today we live in a world of instant gratification. Food in minutes, streaming in seconds, validation in likes. The brain adapts to speed, and when success takes years, the modern mind panics. Effort feels slower than ever. But history reminds us that lasting impact requires long arcs of perseverance. Think about the decades behind civil rights victories, the years of experimentation behind medical breakthroughs, the grind behind championship seasons. Effort is not outdated. It is timeless. Part 7, rewiring your relationship with effort. If effort is psychological, it can be trained. Here's how. 1. Redefine discomfort. Instead of, this is hard, say, this is growth. 2. Shrink the horizon. Focus on today's effort, not the 10-year outcome. 3. Track progress, not perfection. The brain loves evidence of movement. 4. Celebrate discipline. Applaud yourself for showing up, not just winning. 5. Build effort rituals. Same time, same place. Reduce decision fatigue. Over time, effort becomes less emotional and more habitual, and habits are stronger than motivation. Conclusion: the quiet power that changes everything. Let me leave you with this. Effort is not glamorous. It does not trend. It does not go viral. It does not guarantee applause, but it guarantees transformation. Effort changes your brain. Effort changes your standards. Effort changes your identity. Effort changes your future. In a culture obsessed with outcomes, choose effort. When others look for shortcuts, choose effort. When the voice in your head says quit, choose effort. Because in the psychology of effort lies the architecture of excellence. Not overnight success, not effortless genius, but steady, relentless, intentional growth. And when history writes the story of your life, it will not remember how easy it was. It will remember that you kept going. Ladies and gentlemen, as we close tonight, I want you to pause and think about your own life. Think about a moment when you wanted to quit. Maybe it was a job that felt overwhelming. Maybe it was a relationship that tested your patience. Maybe it was school, training, recovery, rebuilding, or starting over. Think about that moment, the quiet one, when no one was watching. That moment is where effort lives. Not on stage, not in applause, not in award ceremonies. Effort lives in private decisions. The decision to try again. The decision to study one more hour. The decision to make one more call. The decision to stand back up after embarrassment. The decision to continue when progress is invisible. And here is the profound truth. Your life will not be defined by your most glamorous moments. It will be defined by your relationship with effort. The psychology of effort teaches us something powerful. Discomfort is not danger. Fatigue is not failure. Slow progress is not stagnation. Often they are signs of expansion. When you understand that the brain resists effort by design, you stop personalizing the resistance. When you understand that effort rewires neural pathways, you stop underestimating small actions. When you understand that identity fuels persistence, you stop waiting for motivation. In a world obsessed with outcomes, you can choose a different focus. Focus on showing up. Focus on consistency. Focus on integrity of effort. Because effort compounds. One disciplined day becomes a disciplined week. A disciplined week becomes a disciplined year. A disciplined year becomes a transformed life. And here's the beauty of it. Effort is democratic. You cannot control your genetics. You cannot control your upbringing. You cannot control every opportunity, but you can control whether you show up again tomorrow. You can control whether you lean into discomfort instead of away from it. You can control whether difficulty becomes your excuse or your training ground. The future does not belong only to the most gifted. It belongs to those who understand effort, those who befriend it, those who train it, those who refuse to let temporary emotion dictate permanent decisions. So when you leave here tonight, I don't want you to feel hyped. I want you to feel anchored. Anchored in the understanding that effort is not punishment. It is construction. You are building something every time you persist. You are shaping your brain every time you continue. You are strengthening your identity every time you choose discipline over ease. And years from now, when someone looks at your success and calls it talent, you will know the truth. It was effort, relentless, intentional, unseen, powerful effort. Thank you.